Welcome to the podcast. This podcast is going to be entitled Carville is Now Emperor Palpatine. Did you see the video of James Carville on, the Unknown podcast, whatever that is? And he was talking about how Trump's evil and he's going to ruin the country. And then at the end, he was comparing him to like Hitler and the Japanese, and how we didn't fight fair with the Japanese. We stabbed him in the back, and then he's like, "Don't get me wrong. I don't mean stabbing our political opponents in the back." And okay, maybe that's true, but the fact that he was comparing political opponents to the Japanese in World War II, that's how they see this. They think that this is like the end of the world because Trump's going to win an election. And they don't, he was misquoting Trump all over the place, taking everything out of context, like they always do. He didn't say the good people on both sides, but he may as well have. All that stupid stuff. And the best argument against that is that he was already in office, guys. If he was going to do that, he would have done it. No, and I've been saying this for a while. I know Dinesh said it the other day on a podcast to Chank. Chank's such a clown. But whatever his name, Dinesh is right. All this talk about he's a tyrant, he was already in office once. And he was in office during a crisis. That's when tyrants take over, is during a crisis. Why didn't he do that? They asked him to. They told him, you got to control everybody more. You got to get more of the ventilators produced and take over the economy and all this. And he didn't really do that like they wanted him to. The same people who are now saying he's going to be a dictator. I think that what they're scared of is that he's going to expose them and all of their scams and all of the illegal stuff that they do. He's going to expose Epstein. Not just him, but that's going to come out, right? He's going to expose the captured regulatory agencies that we all learned about during COVID, and what a joke they all are, and how they're all in cahoots with the companies they're supposed to regulate, and what a crock all that is. He's going to, during his administration, all the COVID stuff is going to come out. All the stuff about the origins of it and the BS about the vaccines. I mean, who knows? Trump maybe won't push that because he's always pushing the Operation Warp Speed, but I haven't heard him say that in a while. But he's going to talk about how they forced the vaccines on us. I mean, Trump might not, but people are going to. And these people who did this are going to get exposed. He's going to clean house. And a lot of the corruption in D.C. is going to end, and they're really scared of that because that's their bread and butter, is corruption. That's why they're all there, right? We're going to get to the bottom of the stolen election, and maybe it wasn't stolen, but we're going to get to the bottom of all the shenanigans that went on, and that's going to be really scary for them. We're going to get to the bottom of the Biden corruption, and the China stuff, the Ukraine stuff, before the war, and why we're spending so much money on Ukraine. Why do we care about Ukraine? I mean, I think there are some geopolitical reasons why they're spending so much money on Ukraine, but I think it's also Biden covering something up, right? With all the Burisma stuff and all that, with Hunter and all that. All the corruption in the FBI and the DOJ. I mean, think of that list. Think how much stuff they have to cover up. Think how much stuff that they're going to have to answer for. And they don't want that. That's why they can't have this guy win. And so Trump is a threat to them, not to democracy. They're confusing it. They say he's a threat to democracy. No, he's a threat to you. Because you guys are corrupt and you're criminals and you're ruining the country, and everybody knows it now. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. And he's going to be a lame duck on day one. And he's going to have people around him who used to be Democrats who hate the Democrats now and want to see them all punished for the crazy stuff that they've done. So, Carville was there drooling on himself. He just looked like some kind of demented psycho. And I thought, this is like Emperor Palpatine, like when he went all crazy and got all, he went all crazy. The guy on Star Wars, right? That's what it reminded me of. I'm like, dude, this guy has lost it. He is completely deranged. And the whole thing about Trump derangement syndrome, he's deranged. He has completely lost his mind about Trump. And like Mark Halperin was saying, yeah, he believes there's Trump derangement syndrome, even though he's a Democrat. And he's like, yeah, I think if Trump wins, there's going to be a lot of people who go crazy and like have to go to a therapist and are going to lose their minds because they think Trump is Hitler. And so just think, it kind of reminded me of Hillary. She's gone super dark, kind of like the Emperor now too. And when you see her, she's just like this sinister character. It's really disturbing. And she's talked a couple times now about having us re-educated. She used that actual word. And some other low-level clowns in the Democratic Party after January 6th said that we all have to be put into camps World War II style. That was the quote on Twitter. Who the heck are these people? Now, I think how they justify it is, well, you guys put illegal aliens in camps at the border. They're not concentration camps. Concentration camps are for people who are in your country, and you're relocating them to a camp, not people who tried to sneak into your country and you're holding them while you figure out what to do with them. Stupid, but that's how they think they can justify it. Well, you guys did it. So these people have lost it, and I kind of can relate a little bit because I feel like we kind of lost it with Obama. We got so sick of him. Like everything. And so it was kind of irrational. Our responses to him were irrational. Everything he did was awful, even if it wasn't really that bad. Like one time I was making fun of him for how he signs his name because he has an O in it. So he puts like a big O in the middle. And I was like, this is how like a 12-year-old would make his signature. And somebody I knew on Facebook who had his last name starts with O, he was like, yeah, I don't think that's that bad. Because he probably did the same thing with his signature. And I thought, all right, well, maybe I should tone it down, And I felt exactly, or at least close to, how these people feel about Obama, or about how they feel about Trump. Because think if you didn't like him, he just won't go away. But at some point, wouldn't you think about what he's saying? Like, I don't agree with anything Obama says. It's not just style. I don't like what he does. And so many people hate Trump just because his style. How stupid are these people? Don't they know anything about what's going on? I can't understand it. I will never understand it. So the other thing is, remember in 2022 how it looked just like this before the election. And the opposition party is supposed to win the midterms. And the Republicans the polls were in their favor. It looked like they were going to win. And then what do you know? They lost. Well, they didn't lose, but they didn't win the Senate, and they barely won the House. So it was effectively a loss because it was such a skimpy win. And the best example of this is Kari Lake in Arizona. She was up by 8 points the night before the election in the polls. And then she lost to this lame politician who was the Secretary of State, who didn't even debate her. She didn't make hardly any public appearances. It was another basement COVID campaign, but COVID was over. How do you explain that? I don't know how you explain it. So I'm worried that that's going to happen. Everybody thinks, oh, Trump's going to win. Trump's going to win. And then it doesn't happen because they steal it again. Or maybe he actually loses. I don't know. But how are they going to... See, it should be on them to prove that it was a legitimate election, not on us to prove that it was stolen. That's not how it works. You guys are running the election. You have to prove to us that it was legitimate. It's not on us to prove that you stole it. It's up to you to prove that you didn't, that it was legitimate, that nobody stole it. So upside down. So, and here's what happened in 2022. Instead of wondering, this is really weird, all the rhinos just instantly went to, hey, it's Trump. He sucks. We need to get rid of Trump. Trump sucks. Trump sucks. This is another sign that we need to get rid of Trump. They blamed it on Trump, and that's what they're going to do this time if this happens again. See, I told you guys we should have gone with DeSantis or Nikki Haley. That's what they're going to do. Instead of wondering, why did they stop counting ballots again? Right? They don't care about any of that. But I don't think the Republican Party is going to roll over as easily. That's another issue. What are the possible outcomes of this whole mess? So we're in a position where we think the world is going to end if Trump doesn't get elected, and they think the world is going to end if he does. Can we both be right? We can't both be right, can we? So are we brainwashed or are they brainwashed? They think we're brainwashed. And we think that they're just, I don't know, they're dumb. I don't know. I mean, I get it. People say, how could you vote for Trump? Well, he agrees with what I agree with, and he's in my party, so I'm kind of stuck voting for him. So I don't really fault people for voting for Kamala, but if you're in the middle, what? If you like what her party stands for, fine. But if you don't, and you're just deciding on a candidate, what are you thinking? I don't know. So what do we do with all this? Vote. Try to stay informed. Don't do any violence. Don't do any violence. Don't do any violence. People on our side have to make sure, because that's all they're waiting for. That's all they need, is to label us all terrorists, and they know how to deal with terrorists, right? And they'll just take all the guns, they'll swoop in and jail everybody. Don't do anything stupid. Then they won't have a leg to stand on. But look what happened on January 6th. That's really the only riot that's happened from our side. And they have milked that thing for so long. So if something bigger than that happens, they will go completely overboard. It'll be, the Civil War number 2. And they will just, guys, I don't know. So, get ready to protect yourself and your family. Store some food, get solar panels, get some batteries, get a gun and some ammo, store water, figure out how to purify water, get a little well for your backyard, and then pray. I don't know what else we can do at this point. I don't know how you help the campaign, right? There's all these people out there helping the campaign. Maybe donate money to it. I don't know. One more thing. Just think about how this is going. If you're a religious person, you think that, not that this is all a setup, but that it's guided, right? That you think God's like in charge in general of the whole thing somehow, and that there's opposition, right? And it seems like something is pushing. I'm not just talking about the election. Something's pushing Ukraine. Something's pushing the whole Israel mess. Something's moving us toward all this. And I think it's Satan. He wants it. He wants all this strife and all this fighting. And he wants us to be at each other's throats. That's what he wants. And you could say, okay, it's, people behind the scenes. It's the elites. Okay, but why aren't they backing down? Why haven't we stopped the Ukraine war? Why haven't we stopped all the mess in the Middle East? Why are we talking about going to war with Ukraine? Or with Iran. We have so many other options. What is going on? It's like people won't back away from the table, right? So is this the 1970s and everything got better? Or is this the 1930s and things didn't get better before they got way, way worse? I don't know. I hope it's just the 70s. And we just have some bumps and then we move on. Because we can so easily do that. None of these problems in front of us require some kind of stupid war or any kind of anything bad. So that's what I wonder about. And so I think the biggest thing we can do is stay involved, try to help where we can. Right? That was Mark Levin's thing. Everybody can do something. I think that's true. So do whatever we can and then be peaceful and pray for peace. Thank you for listening.